You know who I can do without? I can do without the people in the video store.
Which ones?
All of them.
This is Massive Late Fee with Mike and Mark.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to Massive Late Fee. My name is Mark. With me as always is my co-host Mike. How you doing, Mike?
Not too bad. How about yourself?
Good. I've been a little under the weather, but we've had a good week here at Massive Late Fee. I've had a bit of a flu. Sucks.
Yeah, from the way you were describing it earlier, I'm not so sure you have the flu there, friend.
Mike thinks I have the disease which shall not be named. I'll tell you, I did perform a blood ritual with a monkey earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be a special
They
episode
say,
of Mr.
they say
Miller.
you can't. They say you can't get it off the toilet seat, but I'm not so sure myself.
Oh, that's one of the best lines in House. We're coming to it eventually. But yeah, this woman comes in, claims she's never had sex, but she's pregnant. And, you know, she's like, me and my fiance, we're waiting till we're virgins. And he goes, I believe him. And she says, well, can't it happen some other way besides sex, like with a toilet seat? And he goes, absolutely. There'd have to be a guy between you and the toilet seat, but absolutely.
And that young man went home and murdered her.
Yep. The Parents Guide game, how we traditionally for the last couple weeks start our episodes. Mike,
Traditionally, for the last couple of weeks.
yep, exactly. So I've got mine ready. So I'll just start because that's the way I want to do it. Violence and gore. A man is hung. This seems like it should be under sex and nudity, right? This sentence, a man is hung, is why objects and plants are hung and people are hanged. That's the correct grammatical way to say it. But this says a man is hung. His body is shown writhing in the air. Graphic.
The good, the bad, and the ugly.
No, not a bad guess, but no. Sex and nudity. Women seen in bra.
Unforgiven.
I love when they're so terrible with their grammar. No, it's not that. Let's see. Still under sex and nudity. A few short kisses. Mostly in the flashback story of a person who is captured for being homosexual.
Is this Saving Private Ryan?
No.
Huh. I'm not. This doesn't sound familiar at all.
Some references and blatant talk about homosexuality, and some showing of homosexual relationships.
Huh. I was gonna say it actually for a second because I was thinking maybe at the beginning. I don't think they did that in the new movies though,
I believe they did.
or the original. Oh, did they?
The original they didn't, but I believe they did in the remake.
Yeah, I really don't remember the remake that much. It wasn't that good. That's all I basically remember.
It is not it, though.
Okay, that's my guess.
This might be a hint for you, I guess. There's only one entry into the profanity, and I can't read it because I think it would give it away. I'll read it at some point, but I think it would give it away. A man is burned beyond recognition in a fire.
Huh. I really have no idea. Is this the Ted Raimi story?
No. Let's see.
Do you think there are people out there who think that Darkman's like a really good movie?
Probably.
I mean, I guess there's 2 sequels, so there's got to be someone, right?
Yeah, Darkman is clearly Hey, Batman was a thing.
I think it was supposed to be a ripoff of The Shadow, but I could be wrong.
Oh God. The Shadow. Okay. Oh, I already read that one. This is also sex and nudity. In a sequence, we see a mass grave full of nude dead bodies. Genitals are visible for a brief second, then parentheses non-sexual. What a judgy IMDb.
Yeah, is this Schindler's List?
No, that's close.
Wow,
though.
I really have no clue then.
Let's see. There's some that would. There are some on here that will absolutely give it away. I'm going to go with profanity and see. This should at least narrow it down a little bit for you. 1 C word, 4 F words, 7 uses of shit, 2 uses of ass, 2 uses of bitch, 3 uses of damn, 7 uses of bloody, 1 use of balls, 5 uses of bullocks, 3 uses of hell, 2 uses of whore, with 1 being a slang term, and 4 religious profanities. I don't get that. How is
Like maybe call her like, "Oh, you whore,"
of
or
Babylon or something
goddamn,
like that? Yeah,
maybe it's like a maybe goddamn whore is like the profanity. I'm not really sure.
could be. Yeah, but I would.
I mean, clearly it's some British movie, but I
Right.
don't know that I've seen this movie.
I think you have. In fact, I'll tell you what. The reason that I chose this one is because I looked up on Google films Mike Morrison has seen, and I found your IMDb. Mike has not revealed this to us, but Mike has quite an extensive filmography here on IMDb. You work mostly in the visual effects department. But
And now you've given out my last name, you son of a bitch.
you worked on this movie. You worked on Hot Fuzz. And Casino Royale. How could you not tell me that you were on Hot Fuzz?
Yeah, this is clearly the wrong Mike.
I'll always edit that out. I can edit that out. Your last name.
I don't care.
You also worked as a post-production supervisor on Vice News Tonight.
Nope.
So good for you. But, yeah, I think you've seen this movie. Let me see. How about drugs, alcohol, and smoking?
Wait, is this an Edgar Wright movie? I mean, that's only. I mean, I don't think there's any like the theme of like being persecuted in like any of those though.
No, it's not. It's not an Edgar Wright film. Two detectives smoke cigarettes. A man smokes a pipe. Another smokes a cigar.
Is this that Sherlock Holmes movie that Will Ferrell was?
No.
Huh. I think it was just called Watson and Holmes. I saw very little of that. That was a very bad movie. Like it's impossibly.
Yeah, I remember we were gonna do that movie, and then we were both like, no, we're not watching it.
Yeah, I know the reviews came out. They were terrible. I mean, you know, obviously there's been pairings of the two before that were really funny, like Talladega Nights and Step Brothers.
Yep.
But yeah, that one did not work for me. It's like they dusted off like an old script from like the 80s. I'm like, hey, you guys want to be in a movie? Like they literally like found it, you know, and had to like get the dust off of it.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So, frightening and intense scenes. I'm going to read you the first one. Hopefully, you'll get it on that one. And if you don't, then I'll read you the second one. And, I mean, even if you haven't seen the movie, you have to get it on the second one. Homosexuals, lesbians, and minorities are shown being detained and tortured inside state-sponsored concentration camps. The scene in which Evie receives letters from a lesbian inmate may be emotional and upsetting to some viewers, especially if they, too, are empathetic people.
Is this V for Vendetta?
It is.
Oh, see, I didn't really remember that. I saw the movie one time, and that really wasn't like a really strong theme in the movie, from what I recall.
Yeah, I don't really remember it either.
I remember Natalie Portman was very attractive with her head shaved, though.
In this, yeah, one of the things under frightening and intense scenes says, a bishop attempts to rape a woman dressed as a little girl. But, I mean, not that rape's ever right, but in this guy's defense, it's Natalie Portman dressed in a, like, Catholic schoolgirl uniform. I mean, she doesn't, it's not It's not Natalie Portman from Leon the Professional dressed like that. It's
Right.
adult Natalie Portman. So, yeah, it's not quite the little girl thing. That's the thing that always like kind of not threw me, but like I don't know. That seemed like a plot hole in the movie. It's like, oh, this bishop or whatever likes little girls. Story checks out so far. Well, I guess little boys mostly, but little girls still checks out. But then they're like, so let's dress up Natalie Portman like a little girl, but she looks like an adult woman. That's
Yeah, I
not
think she's very
fooling.
short, but other than that, I don't see how she can be considered a little girl.
Yeah, I mean, if he truly was a pedophile, then he would be sexually attracted to prepubescent girls, and she's clearly post-pubescent in that movie. He wouldn't be attracted to the psychological disorder he has. He wouldn't be attracted to her.
You're very up to up to date on this subject.
Well, my wife is a social worker. She schools me on. I ask her questions all the time, actually, about if I'm a pet. I mean, how I can't remember what the context was, but yesterday or not yesterday, a couple days ago, we were having a conversation about that, about what would be considered and what wouldn't be. Oh, that's why this is creepy. My daughter, who is 14 years old, brought up the fact, and I can't remember how we got on this subject, but she brought up the fact of like that 16 is the age of consent in Michigan, and she was like, but you could also be 16 and have sex with somebody and it's a crime, and I'm like, why are we talking about this? Was my first instinct, but I was like, no, yeah, it's 16 you can consent if it's somebody that's under 18, I think, or whatever. And then Carol said that she thinks it's 3 years, so they could be up to 19.
I think it's like a Romeo and Juliet like kind of laws is what they refer to them usually. But yeah, I don't know what the span is.
But we were talking about what would that be considered pedophile or whatever, and Carol was like, no, not if they're 16, and she's like, well, maybe, I guess. She's like, it depends if they've, if it's just like basically, and then she said it's when they go through puberty. If you're attracted to somebody that hasn't gone through puberty, it's a mental disorder, and that's pedophilia. But if you're attracted to, like, if you're 25 and you're attracted to a 16-year-old, if you do something with that person, that's a crime. But just being attracted to someone that's that age, if they're physically developed, then that you don't have that mental disorder.
Is that something you discovered on your way to justify watching a certain show on the Disney Channel?
I'm trying to think now. I guess she went through puberty. Yeah, I guess by the time that show had come out, she had gone through puberty. So yeah, I'm covered.
Let's hope so. All right, everybody, come on in. This has been a year-long intervention in the making. I'm just kidding. So for alcohol, drugs, and smoking, alcohol used throughout the film, some smoke.
Goodfellas.
No.
All right, I bet it's a Rat Pack movie.
For frightening and intense scenes, it's really weird the way the person writes this.
Mm-hmm.
But it says, hardly any, maybe a crash. There is a very creepy doctor. Like, they're not sure, but he still felt compelled to write this comment out here. And this is considered mild. 2 out of 3 found this mild. So I'm curious as to what the other person found it. Was it they didn't find it even mild, or they found it like moderate or intense?
Oh man. Okay, a creepy doctor. Little Shop of Horrors.
No.
Okay.
Under violence and gore, 3 out of 3 found this mild. A fight. It doesn't say a fighting scene. It just says fighting scene.
Fight Club.
No.
Okay.
Profanity is considered to be moderate by 3 out of 4 people who have enough time to, moderate the boards at IMDb.
Right.
But then it says mild swearing. It's hell, 11 instances, 3 in the song, damn, 3, ass, 2, sh, asterisk, which I assume is shit, is 6. God is 2. God asterisk asterisk damn is 5. I like that someone considers hell a swear.
Right.
Like, if my 6-year-old said the word hell, I wouldn't blink. I don't think.
Men in Black?
No.
Okay.
Here's a weird word to use for this. Funny cleavage shown throughout the movie.
Funny cleavage? Okay. Funny cleavage. Kingpin.
No.
Okay.
Good guess, though.
Creepy.
I'm not. I assume this is quite hilarious. A woman's nipples are clearly seen through her shirt in one.
That also still sounds like Kingpin, but Porky's.
Even though it's not Kingpin, that's a good enough guess and close enough to the clues. No. No, it's not Porky's. A policewoman's cleavage is visible in one scene.
Oh, is this Cannonball Run?
Why, yes, it is, Mark.
That's awesome.
And I'm still trying to. Oh my god! I think I'm exactly 12 minutes in, and it's like already like the biggest shit show I've ever seen in my entire life.
Okay, so for everybody, we're doing for dumpster diving tomorrow. We're doing Cannonball Run. So if you want to rush out and watch Cannonball Run, you can pay for it if you want to. You can also find it on Daily Motion, which is where I watched it. But the reason that I did that, the reason that I said, hey, let's watch Cannonball Run, is that...
Because you hate me and you want me to watch a fucking hour and a half of this shit?
That's part of it. But no, this team had broken a record, the Cannonball record. It just came across the newswire, like I happened to see it. And
the newswire?
It came across my ticker tape, and
okay.
I decided that I was sitting there monitoring my 18th century commodities on the
you had a laptop in front of you open like the newscaster.
Right. I have a monocle on. But I happened to see the news story that this team had broken the Cannonball record. And I was like, oh, I should watch the Cannonball Run. I love that movie. I remember watching that movie when I was a kid. It was so good. I found it on Daily Motion, and I got halfway through it. I was 45 minutes in, and nothing had happened. Like, nothing had happened in the movie. And I was like, what the fuck? How could I think this movie was so good when I was a kid? This is terrible. And so I decided to text you and say, hey, we should watch this
Yeah, it's terrible. So you wanted to force me to watch an hour and a half of this.
Well, I had already watched half the movie. So
well, that's your fault. You don't pull me down when you're singing.
Well,
that's like you being on the side of a boat going, well, I'm already drowning, and throwing an anchor around me at the last minute.
That's exactly what I did. I said
you are a piece of shit.
We have that motto. We ride together, we die together. Bad boys for life.
That's the first I've heard of this motto.
So, we had to do it together. Oh,
we did it all, actually.
Oh, but yeah, it's this movie is something else. It's so weird because, like I said, 45 minutes in, I think they're supposed to be introducing I can't wait till we talk about it in Dumpster Time. There's so much I want to say about how horrible.
Like I said, I've seen 12 minutes of this movie, and I already could talk about like half an hour's worth of what I've seen so far.
Oh yeah, I know, it's bad.
There's a lot to talk about.
I don't know if the second one's any good, but the second one isn't streaming anywhere and it's not free anywhere, and I'm not paying for it, so.
No.
But yeah, the first one's terrible. It's
a mess.
Yeah, it's terrible.
And just as a sneak preview, one thing I'm definitely going to talk about is I remember being a child, like thinking of Dom DeLuise as like this epically fat guy, and he's not that fat in this movie. So I'm thinking maybe since then the rest of the world is just caught up.
Yeah, exactly. They call him a blimp a couple times in the movie, and he's just a little chubby.
Right. Like it's like how like nowadays like a person who's like considered to be fit enough to be like a police officer would be like in a sideshow 50 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, your nickel. Can you believe that guy is 250 pounds?
He's so jacked.
The quarter ton man, eighth of a ton man, depending on the system.
Yeah.
This is a shitty fucking movie. That's for sure.
It's not good. Speaking of a shitty fucking movie, apparently Disney Plus is rebooting Home Alone.
Oh my! Why would they do that?
I don't know.
Is that really something they're going to do in this day and era when they have like a ring and like you could have like cameras inside your house everywhere? I mean, how would this be different? The kid could probably fucking pull out his credit card and buy his own plane ticket. How are they going to do this?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure how this is going to work. See, he gets Home Alone, and what Alexa basically runs the house for him, and he watches Netflix and orders Uber Eats and shit.
Yeah, no shit.
He gets DoorDash, and everything's fine.
Poor Joe Pesci. I bet he's going to want to come out of retirement for this one again.
But apparently, so Archie Yates, who's some kid I've never heard of, Ellie Kemper from both
The Office.
Yeah, The Office and the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, and Rob Delaney are announced as main cast members. I'm assuming that they're the parents. It says...
No, they're probably the burglars. Like, Rob Delaney's probably a burglar.
Ooh, could be, yeah. Yeah, Rob Delaney, it does definitely look that role. This Archie Yates, like I said, as a kid, it says that he is not Kevin McAllister, but a new character with a similar premise to the original franchise. So,
A new case of child abuse.
Right.
That was like the most I mean, what the fuck? You don't count your kids, like, when you get to the airport, or before you get on the plane? Like, how shitty is that?
She also knows, like, when she's on the plane... what's her name? I can't think of her name. Catherine O'Hara. Yeah,
there you go.
Catherine O'Hara knows. She's like, oh, I know I forgot something, and then she just realizes it's the kid. But how? She had her oldest daughter count the kids. She counted the correct number of kids because that fucking piece of shit from next door. By the way, I mean, there's suspension of disbelief. Your disbelief has to be ripped out and thrown in the fucking ocean for you to buy this movie. So many things happened. Like, it's basically, it had to be a malevolent force brought all this into being.
It's like the most serendipitous, series of events to ever happen.
Yeah, it's weird. But I don't know why they'd want to reboot this movie. I mean, the original is what it is. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a classic. I enjoy it. I think
imagine for some people it is. But
yeah.
I mean, it's. I mean, if it's on, sometimes I'll watch it. But it's not like I've ever once had the urge. But damn, I got to rent Home Alone.
Right. I think it still holds up, and like it's on Disney Plus right now. I watched it the other night with the family. It's like I said, it still holds up. It's a decent movie. It's not like the best thing I've ever seen, but it certainly doesn't need a reboot. But man, they're hurting for content over on Disney Plus already. We gotta justify reasons for people to want to get this.
I see. They're gonna put that on Disney Plus, the remake or whatever.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, it's gonna be streaming.
Well, yeah, I have no interest in that at all.
That noise you made sums up the entire year for us. I think. I have no interest.
Yeah, I don't.
Oh man,
I kind of started off as like a podcast about like loving movies, but now it's about hating movies.
Right. Well, I don't know that we necessarily. I mean, like, I don't know exactly what the premise we were going for was when we started, but it's
that's a mystery to me as well.
It's definitely become how much we dislike movies, or just dislike Hollywood in general.
You think a lot of Cannonball Run was just like improv?
Yeah, I would say probably some of it was, yes.
And I think it inspired a young Sammy Hagar too at the beginning.
Oh yeah, Can't Drive 55.
Well, actually, he probably wasn't that young at that point. because I don't know when he joined Van Halen.
Oh yeah, this movie. I think the movie came out in what 81 or 80.
81 is when it came out. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Sammy Hagar would have been an adult with his own solo career at that point. Actually, that was only a few years before I Can't Drive 55 came out.
Yes, I'm saying. So he probably got the idea from that.
Did you see the Golden Globe nominations?
Do you have to ask that question?
Well, Tim Allen hosted it, so I know all the stuff that you love. How you love everything he does. So
Another thing he liked to host back in the 70s were these things called cocaine deals.
right. But people are talking about some of the snubs for the Golden Globes, and Game of Thrones got a nomination for Kit Harington as Jon Snow, obviously. No, Kit Harington as Robb Stark. No, Kit Harington as
Jon Snow.
No, I know it's Jon Snow. I'm just, I don't know, being silly.
I mean, I don't think he really is. I mean, he's not like the best actor on Game of Thrones by far. I don't think.
Yeah, but nothing else got nominated in its final
Oh,
season.
nothing at all.
No.
That's pretty funny. Then I appreciate the joke of that.
Yeah, he got nominated for acting, and they didn't get nominated for anything else.
Well, good. They did. I mean, the last season was basically a shit show. There was one episode that was really cool. It was like a battle.
Yep.
But even in retrospect, the rest of the season was so bad it just like made that like not as good. Just by association.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very. Oh my god! First watching it, it's like a very intense battle. It's so fun to watch. I'm surprised he didn't get something for like direction or something for that episode because that was a really good episode.
The Night King.
Yeah. And then did Kit Harington say he don't want it? Which is all he said in the last fucking season of the series.
Don't want it. Don't want the Golden Globe. I don't think he's gonna get it.
Do you think he's like going out of his way to like run into like what's his? I was gonna fuck this up. I don't remember his name. I was almost said Alan Jackson, which is definitely not true. But do you think he like kind of like tries to be around like Peter Jackson and like, hey, another Hobbit movie would be cool,
right?
Because he seems like I think he's like relatively like minute and probably would be good in like a Hobbit movie.
We could do the Silmarillion or whatever the hell that's called.
Isn't one of them just like basically like an encyclopedia of like the rest of the books?
Maybe that's what the Silmarillion is or whatever it is.
Yeah, I think they're going from like the most interesting to the least, just by by obviously why not go with the most interesting first?
Right. Yeah, they could turn that thing into 10 movies.
I did hear something about the Golden Globes. I just don't remember what it was at all. It was like in one of my news feeds, like my Yahoos or something.
In your ticker tape.
Yeah, my Newswire. What else was were there any other surprises or anything that you were happy about?
Well, The Irishman was nominated for Best Drama. It was Al Pacino was nominated. Joe Pesci was nominated. Robert De Niro was not nominated.
Huh. Well, I could see that. I mean, he's really good in the movie, but I mean, I think Joe Pesci is like great in the movie, and I think Al Pacino is great too.
I agree. I think Joe Pesci should win.
De Niro is really just like part of the scenery, and that's not like a bad thing. He does a great job at doing it. It's just like he's just kind of like the method by which you tell the story.
Yeah, I don't think his performance elevates past a normal Robert De Niro performance. I mean, a normal good Robert. I'm not talking Meet the Parents.
Yeah, I don't think it was designed to though, and I think that's actually like says a lot about him as like an actor, like to be so giving to the other actors. He's like, well, he knows he can't give a great performance because that's not what the movie's about. The movie's not really about the Irishman. It's about the mafia and Hoffa.
Yeah, exactly, and I agree. I think it is definitely designed that way, and I think he does a fantastic job in the movie. But yeah, I think that the other performers, just by design, by the screenplay, have more to chew on, especially Joe Pesci. And Joe Pesci does something a lot different than he usually does, and with just in a very skillful way.
Yeah, he does a very amazing job of projecting like a subdued menace throughout the entire movie.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, he never once like raised his voice. I mean, maybe at his wife, with her excessive smoking issues. I mean, he never like, he never seems like off the handle or anything like that. But you always like have this like kind of feeling of like power behind him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Another thing that got snubbed was The Watchmen, which I believe you'll be talking about.
Was that I didn't know that would even be allowed. See, that's really a shame because I know I initially was down on it quite a bit, but I just couldn't avoid reading like the recaps and stuff just because I love the property,
Mm-hmm.
the original story obviously, and this is actually a direct sequel to that one. It's not like it's like 30 years later essentially, and it's really really grown on me. I'm really surprised nobody got nominated at all for anything for The Watchmen.
No.
Oh, I think next year that's going to be very different.
Yeah, I agree. I think next year it will be its year for sure. I haven't been able to see it yet. I don't have HBO Go or whatever.
If you sign up for HBO now, you can get like a 7-day free trial.
Oh, okay. I'll
And you
just
can like you
shotgun
can
'em.
really binge it if you wanted to. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing, or what I did, and now I have my HBO Now ends next Sunday, which is when the last episode is. So hopefully it won't go out before that.
Right. I when HBO Max comes out, I'm thinking about maybe doing that. I don't know. We'll see. It's gonna be expensive though. It's like $16.
Yeah, it's like 15 for HBO Now, so it's relative. It's not that much, I guess.
Right. Yeah, because they're
Does
gonna
it
have
have
all the
Cinemax
DC
too?
stuff and everything. What?
Does it have Cinemax too?
Yeah.
That's weird.
Well, HBO owns Cinemax.
Oh, I know, but I just don't understand the need for Cinemax.
Oh, I agree.
I mean, maybe like in the 80s when you couldn't like have
Yeah.
ready access to available pornography,
Right.
like, obviously Cinemax was an okay place to go. But even that, it was always like, like softcore pornography.
Yeah, you don't want to have soft filters and cheesy jazz music play while a guy thrusts his belly button into a woman's crotch.
Right. I actually know someone who like this is like way longer than it was like the mid to late 90s. It had to be late 90s.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna say who it is, but
JJ?
If Matt's listening, which he isn't.
Oh, okay.
Who? Oh, no. That's a different tale.
That's a very different tale. Yeah.
Yeah. But he would actually like tape like scrambled porn.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I'm like, what are you doing here? What? Like I don't know if I don't know if like every so often like for a frame it would become unscrambled or just like the audio was worth it for him. I think maybe he said like you get like 30 free seconds at the beginning, which is nothing. It's like a guy answering a call at a pizza restaurant.
Right. I was gonna say you get to see the plumber take his wrench out.
Right. But it's like that's just like you get to see like the intro, like who's in this one? I don't know. I'll never see them.
My favorite story about pornography channels is I went to visit Ben and Andy, our friends who live in Las Vegas now, and this is early days of the internet. Ben was talking to a girl on the internet, and we were like, "Hey, let's meet up with them." I basically, kind of like I did with you that one time, I pressured him into arranging a meeting with her because I like doing that. So she brought a friend along, probably because she thought maybe we were murderers, and we met at a mall or something like that, some neutral location. And anyway, they ended up going back to Ben's house, Ben's parents' house actually at the time. And Andy, his little brother, came on and hung out with us too. We were in his bedroom, and I do not remember how we got on the subject. But I think somebody asked something about how many channels, like cable channels they had or something like that. And Andy started going through like all the channels.
For our younger listeners, that's a sign of status in the 90s.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. But Andy's like, well, 484 is the Playboy channel and 485 is Cinemax. And then 46 and 47 also show pornography, but only after 10 o'clock at night. And then they stop about 5 in the morning, and then it goes back to, whatever other program they did. And then he stopped and noticed that we were all just staring at him. And he looked around and goes, "I'm guessing."
Nice. That's pretty. That's like earlier, like when I was joking with you about the consent laws thing. There was this headline in the Onion, which was like local man suspiciously familiar with various states' age of consent law. That's like the equivalent.
Right.
You know, it's a phenomenon that I don't think is discussed enough, and I think every person, every male around my age I've ever talked to about this has had a similar experience. Whatever happened to woods porn?
What? Woods porn? Oh, yeah,
you
like...
remember, like, you know, like, yes. You'd always find, like, pornography, like, in the woods?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's a weird thing.
Like, I don't know someone our age who did not find pornography in the woods.
Yeah, for me, it was the park at the end of the street. Just playing in the park one day in the middle of the woods. Just a Playboy just lying on the ground.
And sometimes it's be like a picture from a porn magazine, like ripped out.
Yeah,
like, that's just disturbing. I mean, was this so bad, like in the 80s and 90s, that you'd go out into the woods with a magazine and just feverishly beat off because you couldn't do it anywhere else?
See, I always imagined that it was like a porn fairy, just like for all the under 18-year-old boys, like just sprinkling it around different areas. Like they'll find it.
See, I kind of feel that it was like older men, just like I remember when I was your age, I didn't have access to this stuff, and then I became a murderer.
And while I'm digging this hole for this body, I'm just going to throw this porn here so you can...
I was thinking about going deep with this hole, but I think I'll go with shallow.
Oh, man. But yeah,
it was very weird. There was like just pornography. Like, I think half the woods were pornographic magazines at certain points.
There were these older boys that lived at the end of my street, and I mean, I must have been pretty young. I probably was like 9 or 10 years old, and they thought it was the funniest thing in the world because I had their little brother was a friend of mine. I go over their house, and the way the road was built was weird. So this is like a suburban area, suburban street, but their backyard opened up huge and connected to one of the main roads. Like you could literally cut across their backyard and get to one of the main roads. And they had a big tree there. And the older brothers took, I don't know why their parents let them do this, but took pages from pornographic magazines like, Playboy and Hustler or whatever, and pinned them up onto the trees or taped them up onto the trees in some way. So it was like the tree in the winter, like the tree was like, instead of having leaves, was just covered in pornographic pictures. And I'd go back there and I'd cover my eyes, even though I wanted to look at them, but I was like, oh, I'm not supposed to. I think I might have even been younger. I might have been like 7 or 8. And they'd be like, they would pretend, they'd say, oh, it's just pictures of cars. Like, check out the headlights on this car.
Were they also screenwriters for Cannonball Run?
Apparently, yeah. So I'd uncover my eyes, and of course it'd be, a pair of tits. And then I'd cover my eyes again like I didn't want to see, even though I did.
Maybe that's how it happened. Maybe like a strong wind hit that tree and just spread it everywhere.
all the porn in the world emanated from that tree.
Yeah, all the found, at least around here. In every city, there is a porn tree.
It's like the giving tree.
Yeah, it's really good.
Oh, God. Yeah, the reality is probably much sadder. Just 19 and 20-year-old boys beating off in the woods.
I'm just like revolted now, thinking that I would just like touch these with like my bare hands.
Mm-hmm, I know. Because think about it, it's like they probably, masturbated and then they got so disgusted with themselves that they didn't have a girlfriend to fuck yet that they just threw the magazine away. I'm not going to need this. I'm going to get a girlfriend next week, I swear.
I mean, it's just so weird, like, just you buy a magazine and just leave it in the woods.
Yeah, I don't get it.
You would think you could, reuse the magazine.
You would think so. It's not like Kleenex. I mean, I'm sure they brought a lot of Kleenex, but...
Or, no, I mean, you could, get inspiration from it again is what I mean,
No, I know what you mean.
it's just such a weird thing, and like I don't think I've ever like whenever I've mentioned that to any female, which is all the time. It's like a way of greeting them. Like they just like they're like, what are you talking about? Like I don't think any woman has ever found Woods porno. Like did we just imagine it this whole time?
That is weird. They weren't looking.
I guess they don't. I mean, I guess they weren't in the woods as much.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's like a female equivalent. Like, yeah, whenever I go to the roller rink, I find a romance novel.
when we went into the limited, just tampons on the ground. A romance novel at the roller rink. That's good.
Thank you. I was going to say beauty parlor, but I didn't want to be sexist.
Right. I would be remiss if I didn't forget, because I always forget, to mention that my balls are incredibly smooth now. And it's just, it's so much fun to be clean and fresh down there. Mike, I mean, you use deodorant, Mike, don't you?
Yeah.
And I mean, if we're going to use deodorant...
I'm not a...
Yeah, exactly. If we're going to use deodorant under our arms, I don't know why we're not using them on our balls.
It makes sense to me.
Yeah, so that's what we're doing. And Manscaped is the way to do it. Get clean for the holidays, gentlemen. You want to have just a passionate and romantic Christmas with you and your loved one, then make sure that you trim not only the tree, but yourself. Get the Manscaped Perfect Package 2.0. It comes with the Lawnmower 2.0. It comes with the ball deodorant. It comes with the crop refresher, which just makes you smell like a mistletoe down there. And it comes with that great bag, the Shed 2.0. If you go to manscaped.com and use our promo code late fee, all caps, you get 20% off your order and free shipping. I always forget to mention that. But Mike, they give us free shipping.
That's just crazy talk.
It is crazy. So go to manscaped.com, use promo code late fee, 20% off, free shipping. You've got no excuse not to. Oh man.
Yeah. So any other pieces of shit that you watched this week? Wow, I'm so angry about that.
Well, this week I finished that show Living with Yourself with Paul Rudd, or at least I finished season 1. I watched it, for the episode that I talked to you about it. And I think I'd watched like the first 3 or something like that, or 4 at that point. Because it was only eight episodes long. It took me until yesterday to finish the other 4 episodes, even though they're only a half an hour long, because I was just it lost me. Like I watched it was a premise that carried me through about an hour and a half. It should have just been a movie. And I was like,
when you were describing it.
And I was like, okay, cool. This is good, but then it lost me. So the end of it is, I'll recap the premise for anyone that didn't listen to that clearly hilarious episode. He gets cloned essentially, unbeknownst to himself, or not. He's not trying to, but it turns out that he gets cloned, and he has a perfect clone of him walking around. That's basically better than him in every way. His wife cheats with him on the clone. Or cheats on him with the clone, one time, just has sex with him once, basically because she's like, she thinks he's better, but then it turns out she's like, oh, he's not like you, he doesn't have our history, blah, blah, blah. But she's been trying to get pregnant for years. Turns out she's pregnant. That's how the season 1 ends. Turns out she's pregnant, and of course there's no test, because they have identical DNA, so she'll never know which one is actually the dad. So basically it ends in a literal My Two Dads situation.
Oh no.
It's basically just a remake of My Two Dads at this point. I think Stacey Keenan will be the daughter.
I wonder how popular it is. Do you think they'll have another season?
I assume they probably will. I don't know how popular it is. I know some people have been talking about it. It's probably for Netflix. I guess it's probably middle of the road popular. But
Yeah, I feel with Netflix, they don't even check to see how popular it is until they're like 2 or 3 seasons in. They're like, "Ooh, we got to cancel that."
yeah, exactly. And here's the thing: I
I
don't
just
know
saw
if I'll
Paul
watch.
ride the golden Ferrari.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll watch the second season. But if they do a second season, I hope that's all they do. Wrap up the story in the second season, and really, it should have just been a movie.
Yeah,
And I've been
I
continuing to
imagine
watch.
there's a lot of
Yeah, go
there's
ahead.
a lot of great movies out there if they would have just taken like a movie, a series and made it into a movie.
Yeah, I agree.
Like I mean, there was a lot of good seasons of Dexter, but if they just took like season 1 and just made it into like a 2.5 hour movie, that would have been like a really good movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, the first season was really good. It was like the ice truck killer and all that shit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
And then maybe
based on the
like
first book.
and then maybe like the other ones, they could do like a like the Trinity Killer, like could be like a sequel to it. You could even do like a movie on like they used to have like all these like detective movies that would be like an hour long.
Yeah.
Like I hear what some of them were called, but it was like I'd always see them like on TV. It was like late at night, or my grandparents would be watching it. It's like an old like it's Detective so and so and another adventure. There's one that's really popular that I cannot remember what it's called. It's like I think it's a Tom Selleck character.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called either, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
I mean, if they would have done something like that with Dexter, that would have been pretty sweet.
Yeah, I think that would have you could have made maybe 3 good movies out of it.
Oh yeah.
And I think that would have been much better than what we got.
Even like I know I think your wife likes the show Supernatural, but like I mean I saw a few episodes of it. I think if that was one a movie, I would have enjoyed it a lot more.
Yeah, that's another one where they could have, but instead they did 15,000 seasons of it.
Yeah, they have a lot of seasons of that show. It's like 12 or something.
Yeah, I've that show came out before my oldest daughter was born.
Jeez, yeah, I'm gonna say this once and I'll say it again. I don't understand how Grey's Anatomy is still on the air. Like that show's been like on the air for so long. I don't even know it's doctors or something.
Yeah, it's doctors. It's like, oh, hey, we're sexy doctors and we have sex with each other.
At what point do they just openly acknowledge it's a soap opera and then move it to like the midday?
Right. Yeah, that show launched Katherine Heigl's career, and Katherine Heigl's career has been destroyed, or Katherine Heigl destroyed her own career, and that show's still on the air.
If she could have like gone back to like 5 years ago and been making some bank,
Yeah. Apparently, she's a horrible person to work with.
That's what they said, like with a super size bad me, knocked up.
So, oh yeah, because she was in that movie. Yeah, she was also in that movie with Gerard Butler.
She was in one of the Chucky movies too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Let's oh shit, I forgot what I was just gonna say.
Was it something about Jennifer Tilly?
Oh no, it was about Super Size Me.
Oh,
And I don't mean Jennifer Tilly's chest either.
Right.
Did you know that like the guy who did like Super Size Me, like he has like I think he did like a documentary like about like himself like being like a raper or like a date raper or something like that.
Oh my god.
Like, I don't know if it was rape. I think it was sexual assault or like Me Tooing basically himself.
Yeah, I know that he posted a thing on Twitter or something like that, basically like outing himself, saying like, "Hey, no one's coming."
Oh, maybe the documentary wasn't about that. Then I don't really know.
But yeah, he's like, no one's come forward, but I just want to say like, I've been bad in my past life or whatever, and I'm a piece of shit, and I've probably pressured women into sex or whatever. I don't know exactly what it was about, but what the post was about. But yeah,
I don't remember either. That guy, he did like that Super Size Me movie, and then beyond that, I think he did like some like game shows. Like he might be involved with that Cash Cab, or maybe that's a different guy.
Well, I like Cash Cab.
I don't think that is Cash Cab. I thought he did.
It's
some
not
game
the
show that was
host.
on the air. Oh, it's he's definitely not the host, but maybe I don't know. I thought he was involved, but I don't think that's the case. I don't know there's something that I think he's behind.
Well, let me tell you that Morgan Valentine Spurlock,
Spurlock, yeah.
born November 7th, 1970, is an American documentary filmmaker, humorist, television producer, screenwriter, and playwright, apparently.
Oh my! Is there a Super Size Me play? Where like the actor just sits there and eats all of it and just like dies at the end.
Let's see.
That'd be pretty crazy. Like you have to eat 90 meals.
Yeah, no kidding. Let's see. He won. So before Super Size Me, he was a playwright. He won awards for his play The Phoenix, and he created I Bet You Will for MTV.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was. It wasn't like an internet game show or something like that.
I guess. Let's see.
I think the premise was like people are like, oh, would you do so and so for this much money?
Correct. That's what it was.
It sounds fun, but I think the version I would do if I were a host and a writer of such a show would be quickly illegal.
Oh yeah. What is it?
Like by the first episode,
prostitution.
Well, no. Like by the end of the first episode, you'd be like, how much would it cost for you to punch so and so in the face?
Let's see. So I'm trying to see what other films he's made. Where in the world is Osama bin Laden? Dead.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Dead.
He didn't find him.
Dead, evidently. The Simpsons.
Up there.
He directed The Simpsons 20th anniversary special in 3D on ice.
Okay, I think I saw him on The Simpsons once. Maybe that's the episode.
He also produces Freakonomics, which is an adaptation of the book of the same name.
The movie?
Yeah.
Because I know they have I don't remember if I saw that or not.
I saw the movie. It's basically a pretty straightforward documentary, based on the book.
So I think it would have been interesting to do a documentary on the two guys who wrote the book. Because the Stephen Levitt guy, especially, is was considered a prodigy amongst economics professors. He's really interesting.
Let's see. I'm not seeing. He did some TV show called 30 Days. He spends.
Oh, I think I saw that too. Like in one of them, he came to Michigan and lived with a Muslim family.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he
yeah,
does something for 30 Days.
How original.
In December 2017, Spurlock wrote a blog post admitting to a history of sexual misconduct. After publishing his blog post, he stepped down from his position with Warrior Poets. Warrior Poets. A company he had founded in 2004. Oh, okay. So, yeah. I mean, he outed himself.
I'm sure he's still getting money, though.
Yeah.
Out of the company.
Oh, wow. He was a production assistant on Leon the Professional. That's his first credit.
Nice. That would have been cool. Hopefully he wasn't sexually harassing Natalie Portman, though.
No kidding. Oh, yeah. That we watched that for Retro Late Fee.
It's very uncomfortable.
It's kind of creepy as hell.
I mean, I really love the movie, but it's just some parts are very uncomfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially considering the fact that the director was married to a 16-year-old at the time, and he was 30, and he started dating her when she was 15. He knew her since she was 12.
Yeah, nothing weird about that. Let me guess, he was French.
Yes, correct.
That's kind of cheating saying it was a movie made in France, but obviously a Frenchman would direct such a thing.
Mm-hmm. The Luc Besson.
I mean, there are some parts of that movie I really like. Like Gary Oldman throughout the whole movie is just wonderful, and he's so fun in that movie.
Yep.
I mean, for a guy who kills a 3-year-old with a shotgun, he's a blast.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Gary Oldman might be one of my favorite actors. Like he's just everything he's in, he's always good.
He is. He is a very talented guy and does a lot of different things.
Like I like how he's in True Romance for 5 minutes.
Yep.
But it's one of the most memorable things about the whole movie.
Yeah, he steals part of that movie for sure. Now I think we alluded to it earlier, but you've been watching The Watchmen.
It turns out that I'm the one who watches The Watchmen the whole time.
That's right. Wow. Mystery solved.
Yeah, I watched the first episode a while ago. Wasn't really into it. I mean, I wasn't paying a lot of attention because I often am not when I'm watching a movie, though I've gotten better at that lately. Especially with quality films such as The Cannonball Run. But yeah, so I like I said, I've kind of been following it like on like I always go to the AV Club for reviews because I like how they review movies there and TV shows and such. And so I just kind of every so often I'll get them. Like the more, I mean, I obviously spoil the parts for me, but I'm like, okay, this actually sounds like it's actually a really interesting continuation to the story from the original comic. It's not like they're not trying to remake it or like update it for our era. It's like the same world with just like the more current themes. Like there's a lot of like it's there's this group called what the hell the
The
Seventh
Illuminati.
Cavalry. No, it's called the Seventh Cavalry. They're like this anti-police. It's not quite clear, but they kind of imply that they're like connected to the KKK. I mean, they definitely do seem to be racist, but they're mostly anti-police.
Okay.
So like I think it's like 2 years before the series starts, they like on Christmas Eve actually, because they knew everybody would be home and in their beds and stuff. They went into 40 different police officers' houses and just like killed the entire family.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's like the Regina King's character. Her last name, I can't remember her first name. Her last name's Abar though. She was actually one of the police officers, but she survived the night. She killed one of the assailants.
Is this Colin Kaepernick's favorite show?
I don't know. Probably not. See, I'm so annoyed by the whole Colin Kaepernick thing from every side of it.
Okay.
Like the biggest annoyance of that is that like people like don't understand what he's protesting. Like they're like, oh, he's protesting the flag. He's like, no, he's protesting like police brutality. But
Exactly.
And the most obvious way to show. And also, I mean, look, it's a flag. I mean, I'm sorry. I know people are like, I'm super patriotic. I got the flag everywhere. But it's like it's a physical object. It's the idea behind the flag that's important.
Correct. Burn the flag if you want to.
And since it's just like, I mean, it's just a thing that society makes you do for some reason, which is just like a dumb like ritual. Like for years and years and years, I would just sit when they do the national anthem, like at a baseball game, when I get there on time, just because it's like there's no reason to stand up. Standing up because everybody else is standing up is not a reason to stand up.
Correct.
But then, like after this shit happens, I'm like, oh, god damn it, I have to fucking stand up now just so people won't harass me about my sitting down because they'll notice it now.
Right. Exactly.
Which is just annoying. And also, Colin Kaepernick is annoying because he keeps like wanting to be put on football teams, but he's not. He was declining when he stopped playing football. He hasn't improved on his.
No, yeah, he's not. And he did that workout, and everyone's like, "Oh, look, he can still throw the ball." And it's like, yeah, okay. He can throw the ball when one guy hikes it to him. There's no rush, and it's like, yeah, I mean, could he throw the ball better than I can? Sure, but can he run an NFL offense? That remains to be seen.
So I think a lot of his, I could be wrong, correct me if so, but I think a lot of it was like a good match of him and like the offensive scheme they had at the time, where he's not a terrible quarterback. I mean, I'm sure if I would love for the Lions to pick him up, obviously now when they don't have a starting quarterback, but just in general, I mean, there's, why not? I mean, who cares what these morons, think? I just get him on the team,
Yeah, he might actually mesh with this offense because Darrell Bevell was the offensive coordinator at Seattle, and Russell Westbrook is a better player, but a similar style of quarterback to Colin Kaepernick. So he might actually mesh with this offense.
And he would have been familiar with them since, obviously some of the bigger games were between the Seahawks and the 49ers. So he would kind of know his strengths and weaknesses as it was.
Yep.
I mean, not as much as a defensive coordinator, but I mean, he'd have an idea,
Oh, for sure, yeah.
But yeah, so but also annoys me is that he Kaepernick took a settlement, from the from the NFL. It's like, is that what this is about the whole time? I mean, I'm sure he had a decent amount of money where he wouldn't really ever have to work again and probably live comfortably. And I'm sure he's got endorsements from Nike still, so he's still bringing in cash. But I mean, a settlement just makes it seem like the whole thing was just about the money the whole time.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing that disturbs me about it. So, again, we don't necessarily talk about politics too much on the show, but I'll say that I don't have a problem with him kneeling or whatever for the anthem, or anyone kneeling for the anthem.
I mean, it brings attention to the cause itself, which is important. I mean, America needs to have this discussion about race. I mean, I'm sorry, we haven't
Yeah.
figured it out yet. We need to not talk about it. I mean, there's obvious bias in the police system.
Yep.
You know, where more African Americans are arrested than whites. It's clear. I mean,
Yep.
percentage wise, they're not committing more crimes. They're just being policed.
Yep. Exactly.
I
But
mean, anyone on their way to or from work each day could probably be pulled over and given a ticket for something.
yeah, for sure. But on the other hand, rightly or wrongly, well, definitely wrongly, but unfortunately for him, early on in this thing, I guess the conservatives, for the most part, the people that said
The people who claim to be in favor of the Constitution and freedom of speech.
right, exactly. They hijacked this whole thing and completely changed the narrative, as you pointed out, to one of supporting the flag and shit like that. So when that happens, it's like, okay, your cause is awareness to police brutality and things like that, and racial bias in policing. What you're doing now is not getting that message across. It's not your fault. I mean, the branding got stolen from you, but now you need to do something else if you want to get that message across.
You know, and again, I don't care. We're clearly talking about politics now. I don't know what it is with lately. Like in the last not 8 years. You know, clearly the last 4 or so. I mean, what the fuck has been wrong with the Democrats? They're just like pussies getting pushed over by all these idiots.
Oh, I know. Well, the Democrats.
I mean, they can't put forward a good candidate. Not last time, and who are they going to have this time? That's going to be someone who has I don't see a single person on stage who has a chance to win.
Yeah, the Democrats.
I mean, you can't find a better candidate. You can't find somebody who would out-poll Donald Trump. I mean, how fucking hard is that?
No shit. But yeah, they've been pussies for a while, unfortunately. But yeah, the last 4 years especially has been really bad, and that's the
right. But the media, it's weird because the media, it does have a liberal bias. I mean, it's been shown statistically. But if it does, then how are these conservative stories? I mean, it must be the rise of vloggers and podcasts from a conservative perspectives. I mean, I honestly think it's clearly unrepresented in the news. It has been for a while.
Yeah, that's
the conservative perspective, but of course we're getting these really weird extreme ones. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I think that's totally it. I think it's and I think that's why. So I think the conservative point of view has become more kind of detached from reality over the years, if we're talking strictly Republican. And I think the reason is because the main veins for getting the conservative ideas out there is Fox News, run by Rupert Murdoch, who clearly doesn't care about facts. And then
he's from Asgard, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. He is an Asgardian for sure. And then all these areas where there is no vetting and there's no gatekeepers. So podcasts, online blogs, basically just internet sources. And they, they're all biased to money. They all want to get the biggest audience and make the most money. So they come up with the kind of most outlandish things, and they're able to do so because there's really no gatekeeper. As you pointed out, the rest of the mainstream media has more of the liberal ideas and the liberal stories. So CNN and MSNBC and regular ABC Nightly News and stuff like that. But they have gatekeepers, so those stories get kind of homogenized and moderated. And there's fewer, like you said, in a lot of ways, conservative news was underrepresented in the mainstream news, and because of that, it's become fringe. Yeah, and because of that, unfortunately, it's become fringe now.
Right. The news, the news shouldn't have a perspective. It should just.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
And this actually brings in something I meant to bring up earlier, but I forgot to. Do we really need a fucking news team?
No.
Can't one person tell you all the stories, tell you what the weather's going to be, and then tell you what sports are happening?
Yeah, should be able to.
I don't feel that someone thinks that what's his name, that Alan Alan Houston or whatever is Alan Longstreet. I remember because he's a general from the Civil War. I don't
Alan
think anyone's like
Quartermain?
imagining him like going out and like he's on like one of the local news stations. I mean, I don't think anyone imagines he's like going to like to the fucking Doppler radar stations and analyzing charts. I mean, all weathermen. I mean, a lot of weathermen. What they do, they just get it from weather services, and all the weather services do is take the official data that's trying to be like manipulated, which is really fucked up, and they just like kind of add like they go, well, I think this is going to happen. Like it's likely they have like a more likeliness of something happening than the other guy does.
My
But they
favorite.
think it's going to 30% chance of rain. The other one is 40%. I mean, I think percentage actually is not the likelihood, but it's the coverage.
Yeah, no kidding. My
30, like no, I think that's actually what it represents. Like I think it means when it says 30% rain, it means 30% of the viewing area will be hit by.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, my favorite was what the hell was his name? Van something. He was one of the sports guys. Van Wilder.
There you go.
No, it was like Steve Van something. But anyway,
Van Dam.
he was supposed to like the Lions played, and this was back when the Lions played at the Silverdome, and it didn't sell out as was often the case. And when the game didn't sell out, there was a local media blackout, so you couldn't see the game on TV. So they asked him. They
Couldn't download it either.
Yeah, exactly. So they asked him, hey, how was the game, or how did you enjoy the game? Like he gave the final score of the game, and they were like, well, how, like just doing that like riff, like just talking like ad-libbing and stuff. The guys he's throwing it back to, he's like, so how'd you enjoy the game, man? And he goes, didn't see it. Too nice of a day to spend in a dome. And it's like,
Was it Mitch album?
that's your job, man. No, it wasn't. It was Van something. I can't remember. Van. Oh, I almost had it. Van Allen? No, Van. I don't remember.
I don't know.
But yeah, he was a local guy in the early '90s for us. But no, I agree. I wanted to bring up one more thing too before we wrap up for the day or finish hearing about the Watchmen. Donald Trump, since we're talking about politics, Donald Trump posted, he didn't specifically, but I think it's called Donald Trump's War Room or something like that. It's one of his campaign Twitter accounts. They posted his face superimposed on Thanos, saying, I am inevitable, and then snapping his fingers, and then it goes to like a news conference with Nancy Pelosi and the rest of the Democrats talking about the impeachment, and they all turn to dust. And it says something.
God.
It says something like, you can quit with this phony impeachment stuff or whatever. Donald Trump's re-election is inevitable. And so many people pointed out so many wonderful things about this. One, that Thanos loses in the end. Two, that and it looks, if you look at it, it looks horrifyingly bad. It's like I could have edited a better video myself. It looks terrible. But the creator of Thanos, Jim Starlin, gave his thoughts on it, and he says, after my initial feeling of being violated, seeing that pompous fool using my creation to stroke his infantile ego, it finally struck me that the leader of my country and the free world actually enjoys comparing himself to a mass murderer.
I think Jim Starlin's actually local.
Is he? That's awesome.
We went to school with those two girls with the last name. I think that's her uncle.
The Starlins, Christine Starlin, I think.
I don't remember, but I know they said their uncle was in comics, and I know Jim Starlin's like from Detroit, is what he lists on his Wikipedia page.
No, I think that what they meant was their uncle was a comic book character.
I don't know.
I'm just joking. Let's see. Jim Starlin. Yes, Detroit, Michigan. October 9th, 1949, 70 years old. Good for you. Yeah, he looks, you know what? I see the resemblance too. I think you're right. I never talked to the Starlins enough to know that, but good for them. So their
I
uncle,
never talked to them at all, and surprisingly, that was enough.
co-created Thanos.
Good for them.
Yeah. Well, yeah, good for him. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm sorry. Back to the Watchmen. It's kind of neat. So basically, after this, they called it the White Night. Because Christmas and all. So basically, every other police person like resigned the next day, and so they passed a law that allows like police to wear masks, so they can't be like tracked down by the Seventh Cavalry and killed.
Oh, they're like Rorschachs now?
No. Actually, the Seventh Cavalry all wear Rorschach's mask.
Oh, interesting.
Which, for someone with a Rorschach tattoo, is a little unsettling. So we kind of have to put a date on it now.
Right, because now they're it's considered white supremacist. It's like if you're born
oops, you're racist.
It's like if you're born in 1988. Because I guess 88 is like a big anti-Semitic thing now or something like that. So I know someone that has 88 at the end of their email address, but it's because they were born in 1988. Now everyone thinks that they're anti-Semitic, which sucks. So.
Or all like the people from India who have a swastika,
Exactly. So shout out to my friend whose email address is gasthejews88@gmail.com.
Nice. I was waiting for it, and you did not disappoint. I always thought it'd be funny, just for the purpose of trolling people at job interviews, like a really fucked up email, everything's great. You do a phone interview. What's your email? hungdude69@gmail.com.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Oh.
I'll get Bob Euchre to help come up with the address.
Right.
But yeah, so anyways, the purpose now is all the police wear masks. It's basically normally a yellow mask across your face, but the detectives. They have additional responsibilities and powers, and they have a custom costume.
Okay.
So Regina King's character is Sister Knight, and I love to think because Regina King thinks she's retired. She claims she is, and she works as a baker now, but we find that her bakery is actually a hidden a base where she has a costume and her weapon is a Vietnamese weapon because her character was actually born in the 51st state, Vietnam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which is from the comics.
Right.
But it's weird. They have their police powers seem to allow them to just beat people and get information out of them, and no one says a thing. It's just expected. And her and Don Johnson, who's the chief of police, they openly do cocaine and no one comments on it. So yeah, there's I don't know. It's just it's definitely a us versus them mentality now because obviously the police are afraid they'll be killed by these 7th Cavalry people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, then Ozymandias is on this weird planet where he's we find out later he's been sent there voluntarily, but he's grown bored of it already. It's the perfect planet, and you just hate.
And this is a sequel to the
graphic novel / comic.
So there's squids in this then.
Yeah, and they actually do show they don't show it exploding, but they show the aftermath.
Okay.
And it's really it's one of the character I really like. His name is Looking Glass. He's played by I don't know the guy's name. That's gonna annoy me, but
Brandy.
He's a Coen Brothers regular. He was in No Brother Where Art Thou. He's kind of like a lean skinny looking guy, but he's great in this. But they show he's at this this House of Mirrors actually because he's this kind of he's kind of going in there to proselytize, and he's kind of stuck in the House of Mirrors a lady lures him in there with a promise of sex. He just steals his clothes.
Mm.
And then when he hears an explosion, all the mirrors shatter. When he goes out, everybody's dead. And there's pieces of squid everywhere.
Oh, okay.
And every so often, it'll just rain squid parts. You'll hear a siren go off, and just squid will just fall from the sky.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a really good sequel. I'm surprised. I don't feel it has a right to be as good as it is, but I'm really enjoying it. And there's one episode left on this Sunday, as I discussed earlier. Hopefully, I'll still have HBO now. If not, I'll have to find another way to get it.
Well, I think I'll probably get the at least the the sample pack or whatever the fuck, the trial, and I'll catch up with it too, and maybe we can talk about it next week.
Yeah, it's really really good. I'm really hoping the last episode will be worth the previous.
Nice. Or I guess not next week, but next time. For all of you,
Yeah, next time.
just for all of you, to program note for everybody. Next week, I think I'm gonna do some kind of bonus thing that's already recorded. I don't know if it's gonna be what exactly it's gonna be, but I think I'm gonna try to do some kind of bonus thing. Although we might just not have an episode, and then the week after that, which comes out the day after Christmas, will be the best of episode, and then we'll be back January 2nd.
What about for next week? You re-release the Die Hard commentary because that'll be the last episode before Christmas.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Maybe we'll do that.
Yeah, but yeah, so we'll talk to you next year.
Yeah.
See you next year.
All right, bye. Next decade.
Next decade.
All right, have a good day, guys. Bye.
See you later.